It's been a year of speaking up and standing out if you can. Are there different ways to show your activism? How do you show up for the Latino community?
I have been the one that's in the streets protesting loud, marching. And then I feel like there's a time in your life where you're like, listen, I got to protect my joy a little bit more than being so public. And just like literally the act of existence is sort of a act of rebellion for us, that we're like here and living our lives. And so I think that's been my MO lately is I haven't been like in the streets as much.
But are you really protecting your joy if you're not out there fighting for your rights?
Yes, because when they say activism, they say it's like handing off a baton, right? So we're not all on the front line at the same time. It's sort of like the people who need to regroup and recoup go to the back, and we send people to the front, and then we just sort of, because that's how you survive, right?
That makes sense.
As a movement.
I mean, I do believe that you have to protect your sanity, and you have to sometimes take time for yourself and not have to feel like you have to fight this fight all the time. But I do agree that visibility, especially in the trans community, it's really important. I, for example, could navigate this world and never tell anyone that I'm trans, and that would be it, you know? And so what am I doing with that? Yes, I'm protecting my peace, but at what cost, you know?
But
and I do think that visibility is not just helpful for our community, but it's for myself to feel proud, to feel pride. Because at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be trans regardless of whether people know I'm trans or not.
Yeah.
And I think in the context of like what Liana is saying, we can kind of relate because we've kind of spoken like behind the scenes about like activism and kind of being on the streets. And I feel like historically, Liana, you were that person, and I was always kind of like, it'll be okay.
The lesbians will take care of it.
And they always do, by the way.
Yes,
they
we
always
do.
do.
We do.
Yeah, and I kind of almost lived in, I guess now looking back, almost like in a sense of delusion, because I didn't think things were as bad as they were. And then, so I think it's more than fair for someone like you who's been so at the front lines to finally take a moment. And then for someone like me who kind of lived in like this comfort to be at the front lines.
Yeah, because we switched places. I consume politics, but not as much as I used to, because it drives me nuts. Like the news, cable.
Yeah.
I listen to.
Always the one that's like, you need to slow down.
And then now I listen to like one or two podcasts. I get my news very intentionally. I just don't like bombard myself with it. But every week I'm staying up to date. It's all still crazy, but better. I've seen. And Victor's out there. I'm learning from his Instagram posts now. Like I'm like, oh, they did that. Like that's crazy. So it's cool to see how that's like an example of.
I feel like a way of being, like active and doing it, even if you're not in the front, like, protesting and things like that. I think something we forget, particularly in our community, particularly in the trans community, is to create equity, to create opportunities. I feel that in my life, that's been a huge mission, to create opportunities for our community and to put money in our pockets. Because it's always been the biggest problem. Because why we're like trans women, being prostitutes, they can't get a job, or like gay, men, we all know the stories, So I feel that that's a way to participate and be active in making the community better without having to be like fighting out there and just trying to change things from the inside out.
I do believe that leading by example and living by example, meaning that I sometimes don't necessarily need to go and, go out with a, picket, and be like, oh, trans rights or human rights. I instead can also be successful in my career and continue to build myself up so that when people know about me and know, oh, that's Carolina, I saw her on that show. Oh, and she's trans? Oh, wow. Okay. And then all of a sudden now, it's not just about your activism, but it's about your life. It's about your career. It's about how you put yourself out there as a productive member of society who happens to be queer, who happens to be trans. And I think that sometimes can be very impactful, especially for those people that are still stuck in the anti-queerness because all they want is to what is that? Groom our kids. Thank you. I was just thinking about that. And instead, I'm like, well, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I'm instead gonna be your boss, and then you're gonna be like, oh, Carolina.
But you know something? I think it's a good moment also right now with everything where we're living in the space we're living right now to be so grateful that we have the ability to be able to go out and protest and raise our voices. I come from a country where you used to be able to do that and you no more. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been very worried about that.
Yeah.
Because I see some familiarities.
yes, things
and
that are happening.
I've lived it.
Yes, and to live it twice would be terrible.
And I don't want to get dark on it or anything, but it's just like I'm grateful that we still live in a country where you can do those things
Yes.
and go out and do them. I just pray to God that we have them forever.
Yeah.
And actually, that you're mentioning that with Pride, usually it's a celebration, but this year specifically, I remember it almost makes me a little emotional, to be honest. But like seeing the amount of people that were there, especially this year, like it actually touched me because it went from something that was like more of like a party to like it kind of went back to its roots, if that makes sense. And I remember just taking a moment to just like look around and be like, there's so many people that do support us and who are here for us. And we also need to remember that because like you said, it's so easy to get into that dark space. And I think when you lead from that, it's easier for you to come forward and be productive and make change.
There's room for all of it. Like we need the extreme shutting down the highways. We need the people who are sort of stealth and can go into situations and get along with different types of people to sort of bring them along. We need all of that. That's the only way we have the middle road. And so I tried it when I was younger. I would be so upset at the people making us look bad, like the people who would I'd go to ex-gay protests and I would protest ex-gay conferences, and I would see the people that would come up with signs or like I effed your pastor last night, like something ridiculous. And I remember being like, so like why are you here? You're putting us back. And then it took me a long time to understand they're there so I can be here. They're there and they have a right, they have a voice, and that's their relationship to the activism. And so
It's almost like the military.
But
It's
also
there's
like
different
it's
roles.
all an illusion. There's we're all closer to a point of sort of power than another person. But you know what I mean? Like it's all an illusion because they're never going to accept even the straightest gay person.
But you can't say, because you can't say, and I'm going to wrap it, but like you can't say, I want everybody to be free, but not you.
Yeah.
Not you.
Yeah.
Not you. If we're going to all be free,
privilege.
we're all going to be free. But this is great. I mean, we can agree on all of this.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that point. Then I think when we come back, we should keep talking about it too.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
we should do that.
Definitely. There's so much to talk about.